Scared money don't make money. You can play it safe in life or play it full out. I've done both. I played it safe for a long time. Then one day when I had to risk everything, I won more than I ever had before. I became unstoppable. The level of risk determines the level of reward, and there was nothing I couldn't achieve because I bet it all. It wasn't because of what I bet, but because my attitude changed, losing wasn't an option. That decision happened while my own family and I were on a trip to Disneyland in December 2015. Christmas was around the corner, so it was purely family time. I was trying to enjoy myself, but I couldn't relax. I was stressed out about the company, our money, and our future. At one point in the day while the kids were on a ride, Liz and I sat down at a red picnic table nearby, where we both sweating profusely, licking ice cream cones and waiting for the kids to finish. "We're going to have to shut the doors," I said to Liz. "It's the first time I'm ever going to fail. I can't get this to work." I was talking about Power Home Solar. For a year, we'd been trying to get the business into profitability and just couldn't make it happen. She looked at me, but didn't say anything. "Kevin thinks so too," I added. Kevin was by my side again for this venture. Like I said, he's my business ride or die. Again, Liz didn't say much. The kids came back jacked full of adrenaline and talking a mile a minute. So we put the conversation on hold until later that night when we were alone in our hotel room. I did have a solution to keep the doors open. I knew Liz was not going to be happy, but it's what we had to do. At the end of my first year with Power Home Solar, the company was losing money, and I had to consider shutting the doors. Cash flow was a real problem because we weren't getting paid until after the projects were installed, and that was tough. I felt like the shot clock was running out. I just needed more time. I had to talk my wife into listing our lake house for sale because we had built some equity in it, and we could go and buy a smaller house with the cash and not have any bills. We were at that point. I've been defeated before, but I've never quit. What do? I was struggling with it. I was tearing up. My wife said, "You need to pray about it. Figure it out. I trust you. I have faith. You always come out on top. You always find a way." With that, I made the decision to go all in. It was a huge risk, especially when my life savings were gone from my prior two businesses, but I love betting on myself. "We're going to sell the lake house," I said. Liz gave me the stink eye, but neither of us came up with a better idea, so that's what we did. We sold the lake house, and I stuck the money from the sale back into the business. Let me pause for a moment here to tell you just how soul-sucking it was to sell that lake house. We loved that property. The day we bought it was a dream, and so was pretty much every day that we lived there. The kitchen and living room were an open concept with a wall full of windows. Our morning coffee conversations revolved around routine check-ins on mallard ducks. Our lake view was peppered with speedboats that frequently motored by. In the summer months, smiling kids in tubes would whip from one end of our view to the other. Some of those kids were our own. Scared money don't make money means you've got to plan and go all in. Throw away the safety net. Take out all the excuses with the trash and go balls to the wall all out. Like your life depends on it, because it does. Bet it all. There is no other way to live. Bet it all on yourself. At that time, we needed to go all in. Everything we had from that point on was going into the business. Before that moment, I always thought I was playing big, but really, I was playing it safe. I'd had two successful businesses up to this point. I'd become more successful than a lot of people, but still, I was playing it safe. Invest in yourself. When I opened up my first successful business, it was in the home security back in 2005. I did it with a dribble of money in my meager 401k, about $10,000, and a bankruptcy behind me from a previous bad business deal. Remember, I kept working at Bell Atlantic Verizon when I launched it because Liz was pregnant and we needed the benefits. I figured home security was a good business to get into because I'd sold it over the phone when I was in high school. At Bell Atlantic, I was one of their top account managers, selling PDAs and BlackBerries. I was making great money and Liz didn't need to work. But I felt handcuffed. I couldn't grow. I was also bored and I felt I deserved more. At Bell Atlantic, I wasn't getting promoted because of my age. So while my manager was one of the best mentors I've ever had, he had limited ability to help me. People with high school educations had to be in a position 15 years before he could move them up to the next level. I'd only been there 2 years. I was the top performer, but I was still a kid. I hadn't been there long enough for him to promote me. So I took my 401k money and I used it to hire a flyer team. My dad had also received a dismissal retirement package from AT&T. So I paid him a bit of a cash to drive a bunch of minimum wage kids around to hang flyers on doors. Remember those? Free alarm system, free garage door opener to install. Every night I came home from my day job and made calls to sell home security systems. I also drove limos on weekends. My day job paycheck supported our basic living costs, and all the extra money I made was reinvested into the company. I was grinding it out and building slow and steady, but I was playing it safe. When I finally made enough money in the side business to cover our expenses and float some growth, I quit and left the corporate job behind. This business ran from 2005 to 2012. I kept failing and learning, failing and learning, failing and learning. After the bankruptcy in 2002, I'd adopted a buy it with cash mindset. And I was cautious, so I moved slowly. I didn't want another big loss, so I wasn't willing to take another big risk. But sometimes you need to. I wasn't betting on myself yet. Then, in 2012, my company joined Power Home Technologies. That was a wild bet, a pivot. It may have seemed like a safe bet, but as I look back on it, it was a crab walk and a sideways move that may have come from playing it safe. We both got value from the merger. They had done $18 million that year in sales, so we worked out a deal, but the new entity meant I wasn't number one anymore. That was different for me. Still, we worked well together. By the time I sold it, we were doing $36 million a year in sales. It is true that I often had a different vision on our approach in the new business. Not that mine was better. We just had different styles. My alarm company was more profitable on a percentage basis because I had been in the trenches, and my partner Ben was much better at trusting people than I was. He was great at building relationships. Again, joining Ben at Power Home Technologies was a safe bet. It was a pivot that worked. I got an employment contract and wasn't the sales leader. But we grew to $38 million in annual sales and went from 4% profit to 8%. As far as I could tell back then, we killed it. We were growing, but internally I felt handcuffed. I wanted to get into solar panels, and my partners weren't listening to what I was preaching. So I reached out to a competitor both of us knew, and they bought us out. Another pivot. My partners Ben and Eric stayed on as employees, and Kevin and I left to go do solar. The plan was for Ben and Eric to become partners in solar, but we had a falling out and fundamental disagreement at the Christmas party. The deal was dead. They were going to remain in the security business. The mutual agreement was to go on our own ways. The first day of 2015 was my official first day away from Power Home Technologies and the day I became CEO of Power Home Solar. This time I had no reserve, no safety net, no day job paying the bills. Sure, our exit payout was $1.5 million. It was $500,000 up front and the rest over the next 2 years. I had no money for the new solar business, and I didn't know much about the industry yet either. Except for a telemarketing business that we owned and Kevin ran that earned us a small paycheck, we were screwed. Months went by and Power Home Solar wasn't panning out until I risked everything. We kept losing money. I'd put all the money from the sale of Power Home Technologies into Power Home Solar. Neither Kevin nor I took a paycheck for 22 months. When we sold the lake house in 2016, no one was happy about it. Not me, not Liz, not the kids. But we did it anyway. I needed the money to put into Power Home Solar. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you have no alternatives. I cleaned house of some company leaders who were not buying in, and I started running the sales department and training reps myself. I made deals, did all I could to turn things around, and I got our team passionate about the direction we were headed. It started working and the business started to grow. Through selling my house and getting some cash flow relief from vendors, that started paying us a portion of deals up front because of our performance. Things started to turn for the better. My first paycheck came 22 months after starting the business. My rule in every company I've ever built, run, or been a part of is you pay your staff first, your vendors second, and yourself last. That made it easier to keep going, but it was still far from easy. A lot of entrepreneurs want to pay themselves first, and that's a mistake. You have to be humble. We bought a much smaller house with cash, so there was no mortgage. The money left over was fire hosed into the business. I activated my scared money don't make money principle for the first time before I really knew what it was all about. I told my employees, I sold my house so you can be paid, so you can be part of the movement, so we all can succeed together. I shared my story and they felt it. It's not about being heard, it's about being felt. When you have passion, strong people will follow you anywhere. If you can't bet on yourself with everything you've got, then nobody else will. No employees will join your team. No partners will invest in you. No customers will want to buy from you. You can't expect somebody else to bet on you if you don't bet on you. As you will learn soon in this chapter, this isn't only about a bet with dollars. You must go all in with your skills and your confidence. You bring all your assets to the table every time in everything you do. If you believe in something and want it bad enough, you must be willing to put it all on the line or it will never work. Dump all your savings into the business you want to build. Dump your side gigs too. Tell everyone what your mission is and speak boldly about it. People won't want to be part of what you're doing unless you're fully invested. By the end of 2016, we had over 14 million in sales. That was 5 times what we sold in 2015. We even started to get a paycheck in November 2016. The scared money don't make money principle is about betting on yourself. Put it all on the line, make it known, go all in, and then get it done. Success is not earned, it's claimed. The scared money don't make money principle is not limited to business or financing a business. It can be all about money, like when I cashed in my lake house for the business, but sometimes it just means to seize the moment by going all in on a situation or a person. For some people, scared money don't make money might look like quitting freelance gigs to have time and freedom to go all in with a company. Or it might be to pivot fully and go back to school to get a PhD. Betting on yourself could also mean putting aside doubts and fears and committing to a relationship by proposing to the person you want to be with for the rest of your life. It's all about committing to yourself and then following through with bold action, even if you're scared. You face your fears and you act anyway. And usually, you'll find after the first few actions that the fear diminishes or disappears completely. Scared money don't make money is what Obama, Bush, and Clinton did when they took the first COVID-19 vaccine injections to demonstrate to the American people to be courageous and do it too. They put their own health on the line so others would follow their lead. They were betting big. It's not easy or comfortable to bet this big, but here's the truth about being uncomfortable. Your fears are in your head only. It's you that holds you back. Committing to yourself and going all in is embracing the fear to a point that it is inactivated and it doesn't own you. When I sold the lake house, I was terrified. But once I committed and followed through, I switched gears. I went into playoff game mode. I refused to fail, and because I had that mindset, I had energy. I woke up with a mission. I was clear on my purpose. Everything was about winning from that point on. Every little move I made became critical. Scared money don't make money is also about sharing your mission with everyone around you. It is commitment with accountability. When you are bold, deliberate, and passionate, people are inspired by you. They build their own missions. They get excited. The momentum builds. Playing big is way more fun. If life was a poker game, scared money don't make money would be like you had got pocket aces every single time. You bet on yourself by putting it on the line with action and follow through. Even when you're afraid, you move forward because you understand that success is not earned, it's claimed. You bet on the moment by using every minute to your advantage. Bet on yourself, be like a buffalo. One day I was chatting with John LeBlanc, who's a co-host of my podcast, True Underdog, and he said to me, "Do you know the difference between a buffalo and a cow, don't you?" I didn't know where he was going with it. "No idea," I said. "When there's a storm coming, the cow runs from the storm," he said. "But when a buffalo sees a storm, it runs toward it to get through it faster." That's kind of genius. We've all been intimidated and scared of what's in front of us. But if you invoke the buffalo mentality to seize the moment and take on your fear, you can confront it and deal with it faster. Some people watch life happen while others make it happen. Don't be a watcher, like a cow shivering under a tree as the storm brews. Bet on yourself to be something more than that. Take action. Make something happen. Run toward the fear, brace yourself, and merge with your moment. When you experience that instinct to fight or flee from a fear, pause to remember why you're betting on yourself. What am I here to achieve? Am I a cow or a buffalo? What are my options? COVID-19 and the buffalo. During the worst year most businesses have experienced in recent times, I'm talking about COVID-19, of course, my team became buffaloes. My executive team and I were taking calls 6, 7, or 8 hours a day. We were on with the Center for Disease Control, the health department, corporate lawyers, all day, every day for weeks. The country just shut down, but our business was essential. The day after the GM executives lowered their pay and made it headlines, I had a conference call with our executives to decide if we were going to stay open. Most of them said we should furlough and shut down. No, we're not going to do that. We're not closing, I said, and I got heated. I told them we weren't closing because Lucy, who was in the call center, was a single mom and needed to buy formula and diapers. And Mike, who was an installer and the only provider for his house, had to pay rent. Jim was close to retirement and needed every penny he could earn. I put my foot down and I had another plan. We're all going to go off payroll until further notice, I said, which created more heat. I don't give a shit. If we're not willing to give back to our team to make sure we stay open, we shouldn't be on this call anyway, I said. Everyone agreed. Together at that moment, we all switched from cow to buffalo mode. We asked ourselves the critical questions to inform our strategy. Then everyone put on their big boy pants. We told the team the next day. We told them that we're not staying open for profits. We're staying open for them. We could not get any help from the government. We had 750 employees at the time. We were too big. We also called our vendors. We pushed all payments down a few months, and we told them our story. I drove my ass to the Troy, Michigan office where I recorded a live video with a face mask to reassure our team that we are going to get through this together. We typed up a motivational email that went out to the company. It said, "Dear team, fear is not for us to dictate. Everybody's situation is completely different. Some of you are very scared and want to stay home, and that's okay. We will pay your vacation time and your PTO time until it's gone. And when you go inactive, you can keep your benefits. Some of you have a paycheck. We're going to make it as safe as possible for each and every one of you to come into work. And as long as the customers are willing to buy, we're going to stay open and are willing to let you work and make money. Sincerely, Jayson Waller." This is what being a buffalo looks like in action. It's a full-on mental state that encompasses the qualities of bravery, strength, and tenacity. Buffaloes don't give up. They plow forward. They merge with difficult weather. They take on dangerous conditions. They charge head on into the hunters and elements that try to take them down. They demonstrate courage, endurance, and determination. Each buffalo sacrifices itself to protect the herd, which also happened at Power Home Solar. When the leadership team shared that they would not take a salary, it became infectious. A group of 30 employees offered to withhold a portion of their salaries to help their colleagues and allow the company to stay open. Anyone can embrace the qualities of a buffalo. All it takes is practice. The best way to bet on yourself is to take bold action. Be courageous. Be the buffalo and run toward fear. Confront it head on, or better yet, be the storm. Maybe you should be the one the cows are running from. Hell yeah! Bet on the moment. Maximize every opportunity. Fear is the great destroyer of success. It annihilates opportunity before it has the chance to take hold and deliver you to where you need to go. Your management of fear is key to both your personal and business success. Strangle it as it strikes, and you have a chance. Fail to confront it, and you'll miss out on amazing and sometimes life-changing opportunities. It will take you down before you even start. Massively successful entrepreneurs are living proof that success is about taking uncalculated risks. Future-proofing your business against things like COVID-19 means you're going to take some risks and screw up along the way. Knowing how to fail quick, pivot, and try again is the key. It's how ideas become billion-dollar businesses. One of my favorite business stories is about the Dollar Shave Club. The founder, Michael Dubin, had this crazy idea The emerging trend of subscription boxes would help his company not just grow but also thrive. He had just entered a new market with an emerging revenue model, which is always risky. Dollar Shave Club supplies men with shaving equipment. It first emerged in 2012, when the market was already dominated by existing brands. According to Entrepreneur, Gillette had 72% of the market share. The dominance is what Dollar Shave Club was up against, but Michael Dubin didn't let the fear of that huge number deter him. Dubin believed that customers would prefer to get their complete shaving essentials delivered rather than venturing to the store. Right or wrong, he made his own map and started driving toward making Dollar Shave Club the answer to his problem. The deck was stacked against Dubin. He went all in, he bet on himself. Dollar Shave Club grew to be the top online razor company by 2016 with 51% of the market. Gillette launched its own online shaving subscription box, but never could compare to the innovative marketing techniques employed by Dollar Shave Club. It is still the online industry leader. By taking bold action and not giving in to fear, the creators of Dollar Shave Club enjoyed a company sale of $1 billion. Not a bad reason to be a buffalo. Bigger opportunities equal bigger fear. It doesn't matter. Let me tell you a story about the day I met President Trump. It was September 2020 and COVID-19 was raging across the U.S. It was only maybe 5 days before Trump himself got the disease. I'd been invited to participate in a roundtable meeting of energy executives at the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C., a few blocks from the White House. There were 21 of us there to talk about the future of energy. First, there was a pre-event cocktail reception with maybe 80 people in a grand reception room that was golden white and dripping with chandeliers. The building was formerly a grand post office when it was first built in 1899, but Donald Trump turned it into a luxury hotel in 2016. So I was in this amazing grand room where I knew no one. I'd been introduced by email to Ronna Romney McDaniel, the Republican National Congress chair, prior to the event, but I didn't see her in the room yet. I started chatting with a very nice lady who introduced herself as Jean. She was a billionaire. Then another lady came over I was mingling with billionaires. These people came from stupid money. I mean, they were talking about their jets and helicopters. Usually I can carry my own. I don't get intimidated. But most of these people were in oil. They were older than me by at least a decade, maybe 2 or 3. And they were all dolled up in top-notch suits with women all elegant, decorated in fancy jewelry. I'll be honest, I wasn't feeling confident. So I excused myself and found the washroom. I splashed water on my face and looked at myself in the mirror. The blonde guy looking back at me was tense, but I'd seen that look before. When I first started my company, I was incredibly insecure. All these smart people were working for me and I was supposed to know how to run the operation. That was then and I got over it. Most people run when they get scared. Still, in the bathroom that day at the Trump International, I wasn't having it. Get off your ass and stop being a wuss, I barked at myself. Time to step up, I've got this, I told my reflection. I walked out of there determined to own the room. I rolled back into the ballroom, back among the oil billionaires. I elbow rubbed, peacocked, and talked them all up. Handed out my card, let them know that I love me some me and that they all started to love me too. At the best of times, I don't fit in. I always have been an outlier. Today was no different. I was wearing red tennis shoes, a t-shirt, jeans, and a $5,000 custom jacket. I never want to be like anybody else. Bam! I gave Jean a high five. She loved the shoes and wanted a picture. Click. We chatted and she laid out for me how it was going to go with Trump. He only answers like 4 or 5 questions. You might not get a chance because there are 21 of you, she explained. I'm a bull. I'll get to ask the question, I tell her. I'm just saying you might not be able to. I smiled. I've got this. At the round table, there were 25 seats, 21 for the guests and 4 for his staff. Trump came in and sat at the end of the table where there was no one next to him. His nameplate said, President of the United States. It's pretty wild. Still, I was in the moment, not letting it overtake me. That's the key. When you're in moments like this, you can't let the moment control you. If the moment gets bigger than you, you're done. That wave's going to hit you hard and you're going to go down. You know how the greats win the Super Bowl or the World Series? They control the moment. They own it. The same on free throws that win NBA championships. That's how wars are won too. You must be in the moment and have full control. After Trump sat down, a guy in the hotel business lobbed the first question. His properties had mortgage issues. Trump summoned his chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Call the banks. Let's help this guy out, Trump told Meadows. Okay, next question, said POTUS. Most of the people were there just excited to be at the table. For me, being at the table wasn't enough. Being at the table is elementary. Doing something at the table is making a difference. The game changer is swallowing your fear and insecurity and getting into the conversation. Being someone at the table who matters. My agenda was simple. I needed to make an impact to ensure that every single time this guy thought of solar, he thought of me and my company. He needed to remember me forever. That was important to me. It was my turn. Mr. President, I automatically spoke up. I was not spectating today. Yes, said Trump. Jayson Waller, Power Home Solar. That's as far as I got. Hold on. Power Home Solar? You do solar for residential, he asked. Yes, Mr. President, I do. He replied, okay, so how do you feel about the China tariffs that we put in place a few years ago? Did it help your business? It did, I told him. Just so you know, China was dumping their panels in here for a third the cost, and we couldn't get any American-made panel companies to manufacture here. How many now, like 5 or 6 or 7 companies, he asked. Yeah, that's where we get our panels, I said. He said, good. Well, I'm glad to help the business so everybody understands that change, that we added jobs here. Go ahead. So I said, well, Mr. President, the perception in our business is that solar is democratic. You see, that is a problem for us. The strange reality is 70% of our customers are Republican. They are the landowners and they want to own their power source and not be held hostage by the utility. I told him we bought American since now there was an American supply of panels. We employed at the time 1,700 people and we were in 22 markets across the country. Our run rate was on pace to do $700 million under the Trump administration. He was impressed. We bantered back and forth for a total of 12 minutes. By the end of the chat, I asked him to spread the word and tell people that solar was an American thing. It's not a political thing. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's American. You've got it, he said. I know I made an impression. In fact, in the next debate, he said he liked American solar. You know what got me to own the moment? Me. I gave myself a pep talk in the bathroom. A little self-talk now and again is never bad. You must run the show when it comes to the voice in your head. And then when I walked back into that room, I acted before I was comfortable. I straightened my shoulders and moved my body around the room with swagger. I stood near key people and chatted them up. I spoke up. I raised my hand to get the attention of the president. Before my brain could register what I was doing, I was taking powerful actions. Being too scared to do something is a senseless excuse. You can be scared and act anyway. You're no different than me. You can do the same anytime.